Round Earth Media is next generation journalism. Veteran global journalists in partnership with reporters who are beginning their careers, going places the traditional media have had to leave behind or rarely cover, especially in the developing world.
Mexico has one of the world's greatest diversity of plants.
6 years ago, Round Earth Media was launched with a series of stories about the impact of NAFTA on the land and people of Mexico. Since then, we've reported from throughout Latin America and also from India and Southeast Asia. We hope to go soon to Africa, Eastern Europe, and other important but neglected regions. The journalists at Round Earth Media are dedicated to telling the important stories that happen every day, stories that often get lost in the daily news cycle. And we want to explain the connections between people and nations, attentive to the implications of U.S. policy.
Jesus Leon farms in the southern Mexican state of Oaxaca in the steep, dry hills known as the Mixteca Alta. They are named for the Mixteca Indians, to whom Leon traces his lineage. Like his ancestors, Leon grows corn.
The United Nations Millennium Development Goals inspired the list of issues we address. These range from the education of women to traditional and contemporary art and culture, stories that connect us all as human beings and that often get lost in the headline news. But Round Earth covers these important issues and brings them to the attention of millions of Americans.
Las consecuencias estarán presentes y repercutirán sobre uno mismo.
The award-winning journalists at Round Earth Media like to tell stories about the richness of world cultures and the ways in which people are working to solve problems and expand opportunity around the globe. Our stories are broadcast on the nation's most respected journalism outlets, public radio and TV programs nationwide, reaching millions of influential listeners who demand high-quality news coverage. We also connect with people who do not listen to public broadcasting and who in today's journalistic climate don't normally receive much news from outside the United States or about diverse cultures within our own country. Round Earth's profiles of 5 immigrant restaurateurs in the Twin Cities will appear in Minneapolis-St. Paul magazine. The photographs were taken by Joanne Verberg, the recent subject of an exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Round Earth received funding from the Minneapolis Foundation for this project. Foundation President and CEO Sandy Vargas says it's essential to support journalism that avoids the hype.
A lot of times, the sensationalized media sound bites, they give a stereotype of who these people are. And as a matter of fact, they want exactly the same things for themselves and their families and the country that they live in as we do as Americans.
Earlier this year, Round Earth reported from the Southeast Asian nation of Laos. During the Vietnam War, Laos became, per capita, the most bombed place on Earth. Today, the mountainous jungle near the Vietnam border is still pockmarked from U.S. bombs. These were cluster bombs, each about the size of a tennis ball. About a third never exploded. Aid worker Roger Rump says that's about 80 million unexploded bombs littering the countryside.
They're everywhere. There is no way to escape them. You walk down a path, you move anywhere, you got to look down, you got to watch what you're stepping on. And you'll probably be stepping on a few underneath the ground because they're hidden.
That story was broadcast on The World, a program that brings international news to millions of public radio listeners nationwide. It also appeared on more than 70 commercial TV stations' websites, reaching 15 million Americans. In 2007, Round Earth reported from Bolivia.
That country's president, Evo Morales, came to power promising to legalize the production of coca. That's the raw material in cocaine. Bolivia now allows people there to grow small plots of coca plants, and there are some signs that policy is helping to rein in illegal coca production.
Vitalia Merida trudges a well-worn path to her plot of coca deep in the jungle. This is the Chapari, the Bolivian subtropics, where much of Bolivia's coca that ends up as cocaine is grown. When Merida first planted her coca in the 1990s, she was hiding it from a drug eradication effort funded by the United States called Plan Dignity.
We couldn't sleep soundly at night because they'd come at 3 in the morning. They had bullets and live ammunition. They shot holes in all my pots. The little radio that I had to hear the news, they burnt it. And they took all the
It's incumbent on us as people of conscience to know what's happening in the world.
Joe Eldridge is a renowned campaigner for human rights, the first executive director of the Washington Office on Latin America.
And if the mainstream media fails to tell us about the world, we need alternative sources of information. We need to know the stories of people who don't make the headlines.
Journalism itself is in the midst of an editorial, technological, and economic transformation. Most media outlets pay for our stories, but that's not enough to cover the entire cost of objective, fact-based journalism. Round Earth Media is reinventing journalism. Matt Thompson is with the Knight Foundation, sits on the Poynter Institute's National Advisory Board, and studies the future of journalism in the Internet age.
We're seeing this decline in our capacity to report abroad, which is troubling as we become more interconnected. And so there are two ways in which it seems to me that you're addressing that. First of all is through the reporting itself. And then secondly, it's in the training, finding young journalists and teaching them how you do your work.
And, Thompson adds, it's important for people to support this journalism directly. But it's not all seriousness at Round Earth. We think food is sometimes the best way to learn about a people's history and culture. Dosas are a sort of thin crepe wrapped around a filling, as popular in southern India as pancakes are here.
It's ready?
Yeah, it's almost coming up.
That's magic. This dosa kind of pops up from the pan.
Yes, exactly.
And so, whether it's to support something as delightful as a story about dosas or as serious as the dangers from unexploded bombs, we are asking you to make a connection to Round Earth Media, to support next generation journalism, information upon which our interconnected world depends.
Schlag die Glale.